Alright, doing something a little different on the channel. We're playing an Explore game with the Beanstalk version of the control deck. It's 73 of the 75 cards that we covered in the deck guide. The two changes being the lack of Dramoka in the Explorer format means we had to substitute. So we could have gone with some of the Angels, we could have gone with Hallbreaker, Horror, etc. I chose to roll with Niv Mizzet because it seems like a pretty reasonable card. But overall, I think I'm pleased with the deck. We'll see how it turns out. Seeing if we actually draw Beanstalk during this match. But waiting on our opponent to decide that they would like to play Magic. As I was talking about in the deck guide video, the main differences between the three variants at this point, if you could even call it that, is really what way they use to dig, or what their engine is, so to speak. This hand's a little bit risky. I think on the draw we can risk it with the one lander, hope to draw a second land, and then play Strict Proctor, and then kind of get to go to the races from there. So your ideal hand has Lotus Field in the opener and either Strict Proctor or Discontinuity. Preferably Strict Proctor. But you're not going to get this hand, maybe 20-30% of the time. So, kind of have to risk it for the biscuit, so to speak. Mono green. Okay. I think I go ahead and pitch one of the copies of Strict Proctor just to slow them down. Alright, that was it. What gets to play? Tribute to the World Tree. Okay, so we'll play this. And my opponent concedes. Let's see if they even continue playing the matchup or if they just decide they don't want to play anymore. Their Gust. Our main deck is actually pretty well set up against them. We could bring in Temporary Lockdown, but on the draw it's a bit slow, so we're more reliant on something like March Over the Woolly Light. Niv Mizzet not really the matchup. Could bring in Dovin's Veto. But really this matchup kind of comes down to, do they have card or not, or do we have a functional draw? So I think we just board in the Ether Gust and board down maybe Dream Trawler. Like, could be difficult for us to win the game, but Dream Trawler, like, it wins the game, but only after we've firmly taken control of the game. So, because it's not attacking through Cavalier of Thorns and such. So, this hand is interesting. So it doesn't have Lotus Field, but what we do have is turn 2 Foretell, turn 3 cast Doomskar, and then if we hit a land we can Memory Deluge. So I think I'm on board with this, just because we have that early, Wrath if they're on like a more creature heavy draw. So I could play, no, just planning on, it loses its value very quickly, and our opponents, like if they have Kiora here, this thing gets a little bit worse, but hopefully they have Pelucranos or something instead of, nope, they're on the, Opponent stacks their stuff wrong. Nothing really great in their graveyard, so just go ahead and wrath this board. This is the danger of keeping a non Lotus Field hand. Yeah, they have Karn. So see what they get with Karn, but I'm probably going to concede here. Yeah, I don't want them seeing our deck, so. I think on the play, I'm much more interested in these temporary lockdowns. As far as what I'm willing to cut, though, yeah. Yeah, we have a decent opening hand. We don't have Lotus Field, so we'll mulligan here. This hand, I think we got a mulligan again. Like we have Strict Proctor, Discontinuity, but we have no actual Lotus Field, so. One of the advantages of the Sylvan Scrying version is you have more keepable hands to mulligan to. This hand, we'll get rid of Beanstalk and Discontinuity for now. Just kind of hoping we find something decent here. Yep. Just hold this up. We want to have Jwari Disruption coming in clutch here. See if they jam. Yep. To be fair to our opponent, they really couldn't play around that. Buffalo Haven? Sure. Mm-hmm. Send our opponent back to the Stone Age. It's a trigger that's tricky to remember sometimes. And our opponent scoops it up. So, kind of got to see the power of this deck. Part of the reason why I like it, just the absurd, you know, you can mulligan to 4 or 5 and easily win a game if they're the right thing of cards. It's very much similar, akin to like somewhere between a blue-white control deck and a Tron deck from Modern. So, we'll be back in a sec with the wrap. Alright, so quick wrap on our second variation of a Azorius Lotus Field quick hits. This one was actually a quick game, unlike our Rogues game that you'll see in a different video with the more traditional version with the Impulse. I kind of mentioned this in the deck guide, but I do wonder if there's not a Yorion build of this deck out there floating somewhere. Especially now with like Up the Beanstalk, you don't have to play something like Omen of the Seas. It's going to play like 4 Up the Beanstalk, 4 Sylvan Scrying, The only downside would be, obviously, you dilute your ability to find the Strict Proctor Discontinuity side of the equation. But overall, I do feel this deck is very powerful. Obviously, it has its weaknesses. It has an okay mono green matchup. It's good, fairly good against Rakdos Midrange and Rakdos Sacrifice. So it's pretty good against a good portion of the top decks of the format. It's pretty terrible against Spirits. Not going to lie there. The aggressive decks, you can win if you aggressively mulligan enough. Or you have just that light piece of disruption, especially on turn 1 or turn 2. We saw March doing, a ton of work game 1. Our one of Jwari Disruption, catching our opponent's Cure in game 2. And then, just hammering them from there with, Teferis or Doomskars. Yeah, this deck is very good if you're willing to mulligan aggressively. And if you want to put in the time, this is certainly... It's an explored deck, and a lot of the pieces are kind of a known quantity, but there are certain flex spots like the Doomskars, how many farewells, all that you want to run. So there is some flexibility with the deck. I wonder how, what the perfect 75 or if you wanted to go up with a Yorion, the perfect 95 look like. But yeah, this deck is a blast to play in small doses, but. If you like this kind of pioneer content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hope to see you for our next video.